So we're getting ready to go through the nutrition program, and so I thought it would be very fitting for me to go through my nutrition story with you guys, just to show you where I'm coming from and what I've been through, and kind of show you how I can help you guys in the future as you go through this nutrition journey. And to start, it goes a long way back. Probably, I've been thinking about making this video, obviously, and it's kind of, I think it's kind of a strange story how young I got involved in nutrition, and I think it comes from, growing up I was acutely aware of how nutrition affected people's bodies when a lot of people in my family had, diabetes and heart disease and stuff like that. So I kept seeing, or hearing my parents and my grandparents and stuff talk about their blood glucose and checking it and stuff like that. And so, I kind of knew there was an association there. And in high school, as a senior, I started making my breakfast and lunch every day. And kind of looking back, that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird for a 17-year-old kid to be making most of their meals, preparing and taking them with me. But it is what it is. And so that's where I started. After I graduated high school, I went to OSU. And, obviously I'm not big enough to play football, so I had to go into something. And so the only thing that there really was back then was bodybuilding, right? So if you wanted to be in the fitness industry, it was some kind of bodybuilding. And so I got into that and did the whole bro thing where eating chicken, broccoli, green beans, almonds 6 times a day. I had my lunchbox, I had all my Tupperware. I would pack 3 meals to take to work in an 8-hour shift, and it was just, looking back, it's kind of ridiculous, but that's just what I was into. And then, I don't know if you know much about bodybuilding, but half the season you're trying to put on mass, or you're eating a lot more food, and then half the season you're dieting down to get ready for a bodybuilding show. And you've probably seen pictures of bodybuilding shows, people in their skimpies and stuff like that. That's what it was. But as I look back, it's almost controlled yo-yo dieting, where you would do these 2 extremes that seem to mimic what people will go through in real life. And I really got a first-hand experience of what deprivation does to your mind. I developed an eating disorder doing this. I don't know what it was, but I became obsessed with food. I had apps on my phone that I would just look at food all day. I was collecting recipes. I shared in our private members group about a study in the 40s where they let people not go into World War II and enter the starvation diet, where they starved them. And I had a lot of the same symptoms as these people, and it was kind of weird to read that study and stuff like that. I was collecting recipes, preoccupied with food, thinking about it all the time. I couldn't wait until the day my diet was over so I could go and eat everything, right? So then I had to deal with the psychology of that. What happens when you've been doing all this work, 6 months worth of work, and you ruin it all in a weekend? How do you deal with that? And it changed every time I went through it. So I went through the process 4 times. And the last time culminating in me not even making it to the end. I just started binge eating almost at clinical proportions. So it got so bad where I was eating out of the trash can in public places, and I would act like I was going to the bathroom, take food in there, eat it all, hide it in the bottom of the trash can so no one would know, because there's a lot of shame involved with that, And I was the person who other people looked up to for my dedication, right? I didn't ever cheat on my diet. I trained really hard, stuff like that. So this was so embarrassing. I remember crying as I was eating food, just shoving it down my mouth, because it's almost an indescribable feeling, but the best way I can describe it was that I felt like I would explode, literally die, if I wasn't eating. And so I started researching ways to combat this. I was at my wit's end, right? I would eat well all day. At the end of the night, I would just go have everything. And if you've been around me for very long, I've probably told you some of my epic binges. But it wasn't just like it was junk food or anything like that. One time I ate 2 full chickens, 2 entire chickens, and where am I putting all that food? I don't know. But I think even to this day, I still have a sort of a messed up hunger mechanism. But going back, doing a lot of research, because what I've come to the conclusion of is that it doesn't matter what is 100% optimal if you don't actually do it. So here I was in my nutrition classes. I have a nutrition degree, so here I was in my nutrition classes learning how to do this, but I just can't put it into practice. It's just not working. So I wind up looking at some weird stuff in 2000, I guess the 2010s, and stuff that is more mainstream now, but back then it was like way weird. Intermittent fasting, so I experimented with that. I experimented with carb backloading, a lot of these weird things that have come into vogue a little bit more lately. Counting macros, so I've been counting macros for about 7 years now, and that seems to be pretty big now. But the purpose of that was to get myself out of this binging. So I had to think of a way to give myself the maximum volume, big meals. I had to have big meals all day, to where I wouldn't even feel the temptation to binge. And happy to say, like, I haven't had a binge in 2 years now, uncontrollable. So I've had days where I've eaten more than I should have, but not having that feeling, like I said, where I felt like I was gonna die. And then my life right now is finding a strategy that fits my lifestyle, right? And so me and Kelly looking for a way that allows us to go out and eat sometimes, but for a majority of the time, eating well, maintaining my physique, and also having a decent amount of good, delicious foods on a daily basis. So I never even feel the temptation to binge or to cheat, because I feel like every day is a little bit of, I get the foods that I love. And so what this means for you guys is that I've compiled all this information, like I said, 2010, for the last 10 plus years of information to help you guys deal with that, and especially from the psychology perspective. I understand what it means when you have one extra thing at night and then it turns into a complete binge. I understand what that happens. I understand what happens the next day when you want to restrict. And then I like to think that I have some strategies to help you guys work through that. And what we're gonna do in the nutrition program is we're gonna set you up with a plan to start with, right? And you're gonna follow that plan for about a month. In a month, we're gonna follow back up, and we're either going to make tweaks or we're gonna change it completely, right? And so we're gonna walk through this together until we find something that works for you. But it takes commitment on your part to commit to the recommendations and really give it your all, right? And then on the flip side, giving me honest feedback. If it's not working for you, I can't make a change unless you let me know that. And so that's where this Coach for Life relationship really shines, is in the follow-up, right? Is how do we manipulate things in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year? What happens when you have a kid? What happens to the food? What happens when this happens or that happens? It's all in the coaching relationship. And so that's what I'm excited to start off with you, and I can't wait. Thanks.